One of the most important things when you get your home loan is to obviously repay it quicker. Unfortunately, what generally happens when people get their home loan is they go through this whole process, especially if it's buying a house and especially if it's your first home. You go through this process, which is actually taken a lot of emotional effort to get yourself into the home and then move in, for example. And then what happens is the finances kind of take a back seat for several years. And the reason I'm putting this video together now is just to show you a couple of basic things you can do when you're setting up your home loan. There are several different ways to make repayments. Offset account versus directly into the loan. When you've got your direct debit set up, do you just add the additional money to the direct debit, or do you do a separate BPay or transfer straight into that account? It really doesn't matter. I like doing the debt repayment, I should say, the direct debit at whatever the loan repayment should be. So if it's a 30-year principal and interest loan, then I just do the minimum debt repayment, and then I have an automatic every week, whatever that figure is going in, and that way I know how much extra I'm doing. And over a period of time, I can up that, hopefully, as my income increases, and therefore pay out my home loan early. But anyway, let's get into it. I want to show you a few different examples of how to do it. So one is just paying an extra $30 a week into the home loan. The second one is fortnightly repayments. People always ask me about fortnightly repayments, and sometimes it actually is beneficial, but it's tricky the way the banks do it. If you just tick the box, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to save. So I'm going to go through that one. And if you want to do the fortnightly repayments one, it's pretty easy. You just check with your lender to see if you've got the good fortnightly repayments or the normal fortnightly repayments. But I'll get into that. And then what I think everyone should be doing is putting minimum $100 a week on top of the loan in. Why? Because what if interest rates go up? Currently it's late 2022 and we've had interest rates double in the space of a year. So the people that were already putting extra money away didn't really have a problem meeting the additional repayments. Although some people who were spending all of their money and all of their income are now starting to feel the heat. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's go into $30 per week extra home loan repayments. Okay, so I've got our extra repayment calculator up here. I'm going to change a few of these base rates just so they're round numbers, so we can work off round numbers, and it's just easy for people to understand. I know as soon as we start talking about numbers, some people start to tune out. That's why I've put this video together, and there's a pretty little graph, so it's hopefully easier for you to see. So let's just put the loan amount at around $500,000 and the interest rate at an even 5%. So on a standard 30-year loan, you can see here that the repayments are $2,684 a month. So that's going to be what a standard 30-year loan is at that interest rate. If you are paying $30 extra per week into the loan, what actually happens is that you pay the loan out basically 3 years early. So 2 years and 51 weeks, and you've saved yourself 54 grand worth of interest. Pretty good for $30 a week, yeah? I mean, that's like not even a coffee a day anymore. The deal with the fortnightly repayment is pretty basic. You pay every fortnight, and what happens is they just divide a month by 2, and that's your repayment. So actually, what happens if you put it out over 12 months is that you're paying 26 fortnights, which is actually closer to 13 months. So that is the reason why people say you should pay fortnightly over monthly. Your fortnightly repayment, instead of a monthly repayment of $2,684, you'd pay $1,342 a fortnight. And what would happen is you would save 4 years and 9 months on your loan, and you would save 85 grand in interest over the period of time it took to pay out your loan. Now, the one thing you got to watch about fortnightly repayment, and some lenders have this when you fill out the paperwork, the loan documents, to tick fortnightly, you got to be really careful because sometimes they won't just cut the month in half. Some banks, when they do fortnightly repayments, when you tick the fortnightly repayment box, you're basically paying 14 days worth of loan repayment. So you're not even getting ahead on your loan. What most people do is they just tick the box and they forget about it anyway, so they don't know they're not saving all of this money. So it's really important when you select that fortnightly repayment to call up the bank if it's not clear in the paperwork and make sure that you're paying the extra payments. You got to remember here, we don't know the fluctuation of the rates. So we're assuming the rates are stable because we just don't know what will happen with them. But 5% is the long-term average anyway. So your actual saving might be more, might be slightly less, depending on what happens with the rates. All right, so now we've got an extra $100 a week in here. Um, Same loan, 500 grand, same interest rate, 5%, sorry, not 500. Extra repayment, we're paying $100 a week. So $100 a week should be no worries for anyone getting a loan. On a traditional 30-year loan, it means you'll pay the loan off pretty much 8 years early, and you'll save interest of 139 grand. So this is how you get ahead with your debt. Now you can throw all other things in like future property investments and stuff like that, but at its core, this is obviously what you should be doing. Like it's pretty basic when you put the numbers forward. But I want to do one thing, and it's another activity, and it's just another way of showing how much ahead you get. Let's have a look at how many weeks you're ahead. So you're at 7 years and 46 weeks. So what's 7 times 52 weeks? That's 350, 364, plus the 46 weeks is 410 weeks. So we go 410 times, what was it, 718. And actually in that 7 years and 48 weeks, if the loan had kept on going, you would have just paid an extra 294 grand. So you're actually 294 grand ahead if you look at things in that way. So what does that mean in terms of achieving your goals? Well, most Australians, I look at their finances, and I've been looking at people's finances for 15 years, and I can tell you most people are not going to be set up for retirement, which means they're going to run out of money. I don't give financial advice, but if it was me, I look at this 294 and go, wow, I can start squirreling that away on top of my super or my investments or whatever, and that's going to put a huge chunk towards my retirement. So especially if you compound that out, because you remember it's 788 a week, if you start compounding those gains in, that 294 is probably going to be a lot higher. It's probably going to be closer to 400 grand, something like that. And that is basically the difference between the people who make it and are comfortable at retirement and the people who are not, and they're not putting in extra money extra every week. And what they actually do is the reverse, which is the worst thing you can do. There's some crazy stat out there which is, it's something like 40% of the people who buy a new home, within 6 months, they buy a new car. So I don't know if that's brand new or secondhand, but they get a new car. And out of those people, a lot of those people don't have the money for the new car. They're getting more debt. They're getting a car loan or something like that and going into more debt. Eventually, I'm going to come along, or whoever's doing the finance is going to come along and go, hey, you should consolidate that car loan into your debt, which is the right thing to do, right? Because the home loan interest rate is always going to be cheaper than the car loan interest rate. It's the right thing to do, but it's not about that. It's about the decisions people make. And if you get into more debt without having the right behaviors in place, like paying $100 a week extra on your home loan, seems pretty straightforward to me. But if you get into more debt before you've got the right behaviors and activities in place, you are just going to be backwards. And I see it time and time again. I see it through people at the start when they've got a couple of young kids. Then I see those same people, it might be a different couple, but the same situation 10 years later, and the same situation 10 years later again. So I'm not making this stuff up. This is a difference between making it or not financially. And this is just super important coming into this decade. Things aren't going to get easier for a while. and people are going to realize that they're in a trap and is very hard to get out of. All of that money you pay ahead on your home loan, it just adds into your redraw. So if you have an emergency, you've got access to it later on. Obviously, you don't want to take it, but you're sleeping pretty well at night when you're in that position. You've got access to cash. You're paying your home loan off early. You're going to get closer to your retirement goals and how much you actually need, compared to most other people the same age as you. So that's it. If you need any help in terms of the repayments or anything like that, please have a chat to me. If you want to chat about finances in general, I'm happy to do that. I've obviously got skills with debt and things like that. Happy to be a sounding board on other things. I'm not a financial planner and I give financial advice. I can give credit advice. That's about it. But I do have a lot of experience in finance. So feel free to hit me up if I feel it's best to refer you or you want to be referred to a financial advisor. I've got people who I trust that are professionals in their role and can deliver you what you need. So that's it from me. Thank you. Till next time. Cheers.